Sorry, I got stuck in a meeting.
I'm Jenny. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, here's a gift
Oh,
for you.
thank
You know
you.
why? Because Tulsa looks so good on you.
Oh, thank you.
I know. Thanks for being so
Of course,
brave
absolutely.
to come for a drive.
Happy to do it. Let's do it.
I know. So you maybe have seen fun little shows like this.
I
and
have.
I'm just
I love it.
making it up as we go along.
This is great.
So I want to make sure I see your face good.
Perfect.
Hey, I've met you how long have you been here in Tulsa?
A little over 2 years now.
That's what I was thinking. And you have an amazing energy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I
you-
appreciate that.
No, I recognize it. I love it. And I love all that you've done for the city.
Thank you.
And for Philbrook. So let's just chat about that. Just
Sure,
tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and how you got to Tulsa.
Sounds good. Well, Scott Stulen, and I've been here. So my wife and we have 2 kids. So we have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, 2 boys.
Yeah.
So we moved here from Indiana, but we were only in Indiana for a couple of years. So it was basically we're both my wife and I are from Minnesota originally.
Oh, soda.
So yeah.
Love it. Native
And there you go.
Lots of them.
So I'm not a big fan of winter, so coming to Tulsa has been a nice shift from that. So my background's a little unusual. So I'm actually an artist by training. So I'm really unusual as a director, as being my background as a studio artist. So my degree's in painting and drawing, my master's, and I have an art history degree. And I kind of fell into the museum field, and it was a good fit. And I kind of moved on to be in education in my first museum, and then kind of moved into programming, eventually into curatorial, and then now as a director.
So there is hope for my creative, artistic daughter.
There is. There is.
I love this. This is good news. Well, then how did you get to Tulsa?
So basically, I had a curatorial position in Indiana at the IMA, there, Indianapolis Museum of Art. And so I had only been there for 2 years. I was starting this new department there, kind of building it. And I got called by a search agency that had this job at this museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'd never been before. I knew of Philbrook. I was interested in the work that had been happening here. So it was really intriguing. So I'm like, well, I'm not looking for something right now, but that's always how it works, right?
Well, sure. The best people have jobs, by the way.
That's it. So anyway, I told my wife, I'm like, well, I'm going to throw my, hat in the ring on this, and it'll be practice for someday when maybe we're serious about doing this. And it progressed, and what do you know, it was a perfect fit. So.
Well, I would agree. I'm from Tulsa, and I've always known of Philbrook. Let's just share with everyone, if they aren't familiar with the Philbrook Museum, all of the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, so Philbrook is 80 years old. Actually, 80 years old this fall.
I
So
love that.
So the entity is Wade and Genevieve Phillips from Phillips Petroleum. They built this home back in the 20s. In 1928, it was completed. It's an Italianate villa, and they lived there for only 10 years. And after they decided to move downtown, essentially, gave it to be an art museum for the city. So that's when
a gift.
That was the gift. That was the property and the villa itself, the home, and the collection came after. So I think some people think the collection was there. It wasn't. That was built in the years after. And so in those subsequent years, we've built up the collection through numerous gifts. And then another big shift was in the 80s when the kind of the other wing was built onto the museum. So that added an auditorium, education spaces, basically doing more programming. And then 5 years ago, Philbrook added a downtown space that's right off of Guthrie Green as well. So that we have two museums, and we have whole variety of programming, exhibitions, and then when I came on board, we've kind of taken that up a notch.
I would say so. I'm a little biased. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and she's attended art camp for many, many years. And so, what would you say in the museum, in the gardens, in all of the space? What's your favorite place to hang out?
The gardens. And the gardens for me, and whenever I want to bring people to recruit them to come to Tulsa, whether to the museum or just otherwise, because it worked on me. It's just come out on the terrace and see the beautiful formal gardens, and it's amazing. I was in London doing a presentation in June, kind of talking about the museum, and in my presentation I was showing all these photos of the gardens, and people like, that can't be Oklahoma.
I know, it is.
because it looks so European in a lot of ways. So anyway, the gardens for me it will always be kind of one of those places. But I like spending just time alone in the galleries. I like sitting out and hanging and having a drink in the restaurant. And
I know. So there's a new restaurant in town.
There is. So we have Kitchen 27 now, which is James Schrader, Palace Cafe, and Prairie Fire Pie that took over. So it's their third restaurant, and it's been a big hit.
It's good stuff. Well, what else I know you've been so busy since you've been here the past couple years. What are some of the things you're real proud of that you've kind of kick-started and gotten going?
Sure. I mean, I think a variety of things. I think one of them is on more of a civic end of things, is trying to make Philbrook be more community focused, really opening it up and meaning that. So we want it to be something for everybody in Tulsa, that they feel welcome, and in changing the museum to be a more casual space, and that you don't have to dress up and come once a year and it becomes this really intense thing, but that you can show up in your shorts and your t-shirt with your kids and have a burger on the patio and go look at some art, and then come back the next week and see a movie, and then come back the week following, maybe by yourself, just to walk through the garden, and all of that can happen.
I love that you're really focused on getting the community to come and hang out and have fun, because it could have had at one time that stigma to it.
Absolutely, and it's still there to some extent, and we're trying to change a lot of that and really make it be, fun, to be honest, and not stuffy, and just be a place that people enjoy hanging out, and I want it to be something where people hang out regularly.
Right.
So not just, again, like once a year, or I went on my 4th grade field trip and nothing's new.
I know. Ever changing. There's always new shows coming through. But what's on the horizon? What's in the next near future?
So we're opening a show with Mel Bachner, a contemporary artist, coming up here in October. The big thing this fall is we're doing this 80 for 80 campaign. So it's the 80th anniversary, and instead of just looking at kind of a legacy of looking at the past and like looking at the deep past, we're looking at the 1980s as being a pivotal time for Philbrook, but also the 80s are fun. So we're
are you an 80s?
I am. Yes, I grew up in the 80s. So I was born in the 70s. I grew up in the 80s.
Then we're 80s kids, for sure. I'm with you. I've been playing 80s on 8 for the kids.
Perfect.
She's totally digging it, actually. She's not making me change the channel.
That's perfect.
So, that's so
So we're
fun.
doing films from Back to the Future, and UHF is coming up. We're doing, before Halloween, the Labyrinth and the Shining out in the garden. We've got an arcade in the museum right now. So we have arcade games in the museum. We put a record store, 80s record store, in the shop. We're doing 80s karaoke coming up. We're doing an 80s music video watch party.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So we're embracing it.
So if someone isn't currently a member of Philbrook, what are some things that they can start doing to enjoy and appreciate it, maybe on the cheap for now, and then work their way in? Yeah,
so we have free days once a month. So we have second Saturdays free to come. Also, the first Friday is free both downtown and here after 5 o'clock. So that's 2 ways to come and enjoy things. And then membership is really inexpensive. It really is. Kids under 17 are free. Yeah. People often don't know that. They're free all the time. Yep. And then our basic dual membership for a family is $85 a year. And right now with the 80 for 80 thing, so if you get it in the next 80 days, it's $80 for that membership. So we have a little bit of
we'll share that so everybody can look into that. And I'll say, as a business person, joining as a Young Masters Society is a great way to meet people.
It is.
And to come enjoy the museum and all that it offers as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a good way as well.
It's great. And I think the best, I break it out this too. So if you came every Friday to come here, it breaks out for your whole family to be $1.40.
Oh, I love that. So that makes so much sense. Well, I appreciate you. I'm going to be seeing you this weekend.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be fun. Come mix?
Yes,
Perfect.
We're excited. Thanks for sharing your time.
Thanks for talking to me.
You're so great for sharing and being such a great contributor to Tulsa.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. If you guys need anything from me, I'm Jenny, 918-706-9845. Bye.